Welcome back to my channel. It's a very sad day for the time being because I just found out last week that my nano, all the videos that I've been recording on my nano have actually just not been getting saved to the nano, right? So I record them, it lets me record them all the way like recording a normal video. Then I was looking in my camera roll because I was finally going to upload them. So I've been alluding to them in some of the few videos that I have uploaded, right? And you know what? They're gone. They're not there. Not even gone. I mean, I guess they are gone, but they're gone. I mean, they're just not there. So all the videos, I don't even remember what I said in these videos either. Probably some ultra valuable information that would just help everybody, advance their life, just a better human. But instead, stuck with being lost without my wisdom. Fortunately for you guys, that is what's gonna happen. You guys, again, I know I've said this in past videos. You guys, is not many people, but wisdom is gone, and I apologize in advance. And I hope we can, wow, what was that? Move forward from this side point. I'm gonna keep it as Justin and Nano as my channel name. I'm gonna probably try to get fixed at some point. At some point, I don't know. Enough yapping about that. So the basis of this video today is the that I've spoken on before, but it's expanded, right? So I talk about a lot my my confidence in human interaction. Not my confidence, but just like my ability to be satisfied with the human interaction that I have is just never there because I always feel like I can say more in a conversation, and not all the time it needs to be said more. But in this instance right here, I think it's a thing. My bad. I haven't done these in a while. I'm probably gonna get back to them. But in this instance, it's actually gonna help. So what I have here today is a solution, but the solution hasn't had a thesis put into it all the way yet, right? So it's like a slight thesis. Uh, a slight thesis right now is best way to talk to people, get them to talk more if you're brand new to them, is get them to tell stories. And I just thought about it, and some of the best times with my friends or even my family members, you haven't seen them in so long. You're able to talk to them so easily because most of the time you're talking about a story, and what makes it so easy to flow with family members and stuff like that is because you're asking a question that's, what did you do here to do this? Story evolved. And a part of the thesis that I don't have figured out is I'm going to try to figure it out and come back with findings, maybe literally in the next video that I do. But the one I need to find are the questions that are going to lead you to getting a story from somebody. So this doesn't apply to all conversations, of course, but this applies to something when you're with somebody for a little bit more extended period of a time, further past quick small talk, right? The quick, small talk. And you don't need to really get a story out of somebody because either it's not going to end because small talk's going to be over, they're going to have to go, or it's just not needed to learn about somebody's whole life story every time. But for the situations where you're in that predicament, I think that that's the best way. Because most of the time, you just end up being in the small talk phase with somebody. Not most of the time in this situation, you're in the small talk phase with somebody, even though you're gonna be beside them for an extended period of time, right? So, and now that I think about it more, when I was doing Toastmasters for my internship last summer, they had us do to do the impromptu speaking in front of a crowd is we gave a story of something that we did, right? So we got to choose a story and kind of come up with our own script. It's just a story of what happened in our lives, right? and that kind of put it together in my head now that story kind of is the catalyst to a lot of conversation. And if you can get a story out of somebody, you can go down so many different avenues that it's like it's just so easy to just kind of bounce off each other after that. And I think I was gonna say but I paused my sentence. I think that that is the under not underexplored, but more unknown thing. And then the people who make you talk the most are making you say stories. They're not making you, but of course they're propelling a story out of you because what else is gonna make you talk more than about yourself than a story in some fashion, right? So he'd be asking you about time in high school football. That's an example. And I'm trying to think of this on the spot really because I'm trying to think about what they could be asking you about in regard to get you a story out of it instead of the simple question of what'd you do in high school football. Like that's definitely a story getter, but a real a real in-depth to story and a real in-depth story really is kind of what I'm looking for. And I don't have the answers right now to that, but I think you guys can kind of understand where I'm trying to get at with this. It's getting a story out of somebody, and maybe somebody else is better than this at me. Maybe a philosopher comes back into this comment section in 2210, sees that I'm talking about super hot fire, right? And they're using this in a Harvard lecture class, right? But that's what I feel will get the most human interaction out of somebody. And that's what I know gets the most human interaction out of me. The people who talk best to me are the people who are telling stories. And I've heard at my job or not recently, I mean, I guess recent memory, they were talking about how this one guy is really good at getting talked to. And they're like, because he just sits there and listens. And I've said that before. You want people to talk more about themselves than you're talking about yourself, and they'll like you more. That's true. And they are also talking about how said one girl, they said one girl was telling a story to this guy. He just sat there and listened for the whole time. And they said that's one of the very few people they feel like, I forgot what they said exactly, but they said he's one of the few people that not a conversation with. I forgot this. They said this like a month or two ago, and I don't remember exactly what they said, but he's one of the rare people who you can kind of talk to forever. And they're like, it's probably because he listens so well. And that definitely ties into what I've said before. I've definitely said something about the lines of talking about just allowing people to talk. And I've even said that, and I'm still bad at that right now because when somebody's talking to me, I feel like I don't dominate the conversation, but I feel like I do talk about myself too much, probably just too much self consciousness. And I probably am doing fine because nobody's just sitting there just quiet after me. Because I know how to ask questions and stuff like that. I've learned a little bit from myself, right? But I need to get better at that. And I think the best way for me to get better is to do story prompted kind of questions. And yeah, I keep going back to the same point, but I really don't have an answer. And I'm trying to think on the spot of what's a good situation where you can like get a story. Like and some of the questions that you kind of ask can lead to stories. So I know a lot of people ask about how was your weekend and stuff like that. And they can tell you what they did over the weekend, and then in some way you can get a story out of that. I don't know how you're gonna get a story. Again, I don't know the question that's gonna get you to the story. Because how was your weekend? Okay, they tell you how it is. It's like a quick, summary. They don't want to give you everything. They don't want to give you their whole life story. But if you want to get more out of them, I know there's repeating questions or repeating what somebody said. So they went to they went to go fishing on the weekend. I'll use that, right? They said they went fishing on the weekend. You're like, oh, you went fishing, huh? And somehow get a story out of that. I'm still don't know how to get a story out of that, and I'm about to do some research and start later tonight. I was about to say after this video, but I'm gonna do it a little bit later tonight. But somehow prompt a good story out of that. And the further back you get people to reach to more fond memories of their life, it's gonna get better. Or just funny stories. Fond memories or funny stories. Like you don't want anything sad, of course. Like they're like, oh, my dad died. Like, oh, you don't want to dig into that anymore, right? That's just that's sad or something. And I heard that just last week, which is why I used that as an example. I was like, oh man, I was like, yeah, I don't know how you deal with that. It's rough, but I didn't want to be like, oh, how did he die, right? What is the impact it had on you? I don't want to just start making them feel sad. It was like my dad committed everything, like said something like that. But no, I didn't want to push into it any further. But that's just like an example of not a story that you want to get something of fond memories. The older you talk with people, the more stories they'll get, of course. So, and then younger people, especially my age. So, I just graduated out of college. So, people my age, you can talk to them about college stories, and they probably have a million, right? A lot of college students go to the bars. A lot of college students go to football games. There's crazy stuff that happens all week in college. To be honest, there's just infinite possibilities with young people and old people. It's even more of old people. They'll tell you a story over anything because they've had their whole life. Like they're 60. They've had my life 3 times over, right? So get a lot of stories out of them. But I'm definitely gonna come back to y'all with some more stories that get out of people in the future. But for now, just know that I think I've cracked some code for better conversations and better connections with people. And you can maybe relate to these stories somehow, some way. You have to be good at asking questions during the story as well, of course. So you're talking to somebody, they say that story, you can't just hear the story and just kind of let it run. I mean, you can. Can't there's nothing you can or can't do in this situation, but when they're going through a story, you want to kind of delve into things, right? They're telling a funny story, and in the funny story, somebody gets into a bad situation that got them into the funny thing in the story. You're gonna be like, what in the world were they doing to be doing this if they don't explain it already? Something like that. What were they doing to be ending up on the broad side of a barn, right? Just something random I just came up with. And if they didn't explain that, you could get that out of them. And that might be another miniature story right there. You're gonna be like, oh man, you don't even want to know that part, right? Because there's parts to the stories as well. So of course, yeah, asking questions in the middle is something you want to. But there's just a lot. There's a lot, and I'm definitely gonna delve into it. I put a lot of stuff in my notes. I'm a notes demon, like a demon with the notes. Like you've meant something to me in my life. At any point, you're probably in my notes somewhere to any level or extent, depending on how much, right? Or on any kind of app that I can write notes. I used to do it on blank slate on my computer at school. Yeah, just kind of get a story out of people. I don't want to string this video out any longer. I've already made it 10 minutes, or probably 12 minutes now. I played Rocket League for like 2 minutes at the start of the video without starting the video. So there's probably some part I'll cut out because it says 14:27, and I probably had 14:27 on this. Yeah, I'm gonna get back with you guys on this topic a little bit later, and we're gonna find out how you can talk to people through stories or get them to convey a story in a funny way or a fond way of a good memory through your questions. So stay tuned for that on my channel. And if you actually know a way to do it on your own, comment on this video. I don't know when it's going to be posted, but I do know I'm going to do my research tonight. And I'll tell y'all when I'm filming this. It's 7/27/2026, right? So that's what it is. And that was a, that's what it is today. So yeah, if you have anything in the comments, it's uploaded in July. Go me. If it's uploaded tonight, go me. I should be able to upload. Probably be able to record a video tomorrow. But But yeah, that's it for this video today. I'm just thinking out loud, but yeah, you guys again. And this is Bustin' in Bano. I'm out.